I'm super happy to introduce our next session. It will be done by Noah and Jesse. They are talented members of Open Elements. That this is a participant member of Adoptium Working Group. They are joining from Uganda. And they started actually their talk is about this, how a first contribution to open source project helped them to be a paid open source developer. I'm happy to have them here. Noah is a software engineer at OpenElement. He has been contributing to open source project, improving Java developers tools, and advocated for inclusivity across the Africa ecosystem. And Jesse is very passionate about using technology and drive meaningful changes. So very excited for this talk, this session, and the floor is all yours. Welcome to Adoption Summit.
Thank you, Carmen, for the introduction. And if you're talking, Noah, you're on mute.
Sorry. So our topic for the summit is how our contribution to open source helped us to become like the paid open source developers. And we chose this topic in particular to inspire most of young developers from the global south, since open source is still rare in the global south. So we chose this topic mainly to inspire young developers from African countries to see if they can also build a career through open source. So, sorry. Need to find out something. Cool. So, me personally, I'm Noah Tayebwa. I'm a software developer at Open Elements. I'm passionate about the Java ecosystem, and I'm so much interested in mentoring young developers like me, especially from the global south. And I hold a bachelor's degree in software engineering, and I'm a strong advocate for open source across East Africa.
Yeah, so I'm Jessy Ssebuliba, and I'm a front-end developer at Open Elements. I'm self-taught, and I like open source a lot, and I like Web3 also so much. And I'm happy to be a speaker of the summit. And I thank you all for joining the Adoptium Summit. And yeah, enjoy the presentation.
Yeah, so we are going to be sharing our journey. It's quite a long one. I have like a large story. I'm not sure I can tell like the whole story of all our journey from where we started from, but we'll just give highlights of our journey. Yeah, so me in particular, I was born in northern Rwanda and later moved to Uganda at around the age of 10. And how I came to pick interest in software development. So I had a friend who is Ethiopian. So he had a lot of laptops when he was still young, and he played like a lot of games. So I was always curious to know like, how does this happen? How does these games work and stuff like that? So I was so really like fascinated on how these games were working in the background. And so when I tried to investigate, so I remember asking our computer teacher by then in high school, then he showed me like the code that was written. I can't tell what it was right now, but it was some small codes that were written. So he's like, whatever you're seeing here, this is the background of it. So I was like, yo, this is interesting. So I fell in love with computers. I really wanted to know how everything worked, and that's how I decided to do like software engineering in university so that I could find out how these games were working. So that was like one of the biggest inspirations I had to do software engineering. So when I was at campus, I met a friend who introduced me to open source on my first day, I think, at campus. So introduced me to open source, and one of the most famous communities that he introduced me to here in Uganda was OpenMRS. So OpenMRS is a medical record system that is used to keep medical records used in hospitals. So it was such an interesting thing that he was in Uganda and was able to communicate like with people, with other developers from across the globe. And it was such an interesting thing for me. So I kept following him up, and it was quite not simple because there's less or almost no guidance, because like we needed to figure out everything by ourselves because he had heard of it, and we really needed also to figure out everything by ourselves. And it was just we were fresh from high school, so it was quite complicated by then because hello.
Oh, sorry, I was not muted. Sorry, my fault.
Okay. Yeah, so it was quite complicated because it was we needed to figure out everything on our own, and documentation by then was over the place, and it was really hard to figure out stuff. But eventually, it took us like quite long. But eventually, because I remember pushing my first pull request took me about 5 to 6 months, and we finally figured it out. Yeah, so and later on we did some contributions, and we learned about a lot of stuff, how open source projects are managed, the JIT workflows, and project management tools like Jira. Jira was my first project management tool I associated myself with. So it was quite an interesting journey. So later on, I happened to join other communities like Adoptium and other Eclipse Foundation communities. I also participated in humanitarian OpenStreetMap. So basically, that's like the simple story about my journey and how I came to join Adoptium as a contributor.
Yes, thank you, Noah. So I started open source also from OpenMRS, and I had to learn a few stuff via YouTube and other communities like Free Code Camp, and yeah, I had to learn a few skills, and then I joined open source inspired by my brother, and we're all living in Uganda, and for him, he's still working with OpenMRS, and I was introduced to the Eclipse Foundation by Noah, and that's how I began my professional journey. And I'm happy that I found Eclipse Adoptium. I'm happy that I found Eclipse Foundation, and I'm happy that I'm into open source. I'm into products that are helping the world globally. And I'm happy that I'm collaborating with different people in different world. And yeah, and I think that's quite good. Next slide. So since whenever we talk about our career path, we can't forget to talk about OpenMRS since it is our first step on this journey. So as he said, OpenMRS is an open source medical record system, and it is open source and free to use, and it is used in over 80 countries. And in Uganda, it is used by a lot of clinics and hospitals, and including the Ministry of Health of Uganda. And I'm happy that I could contribute to a real life project that is benefiting the world. And yeah, I think that is most of it about OpenMRS. Yeah.
So most of maybe the people are wondering how we got connected to the global communities. So how we connected to the global communities? We connected with Hendrik Ebers, the CEO of Open Elements, and he's a board member of Eclipse Foundation through Adoptium. So how I met him was quite funny, and it's an interesting story. So I remember about 2 years ago, I just bumped into the Adoptium project, and then I went to the Slack channel of Eclipse Adoptium. Then I sent a message as like, I'm from Uganda, and talked about myself. Then I was like, I'd like to contribute to the Adoptium project, and boom, the first person to answer was Hendrik. I was like, you can start from here and make and do some pull requests. So he told me I could start with the website. So I went to the website and did like a few pull requests, and he was always one of the people always tagged. And it was quite interesting that I did a few pull requests on the website, and they were successful, and they are always there to help. I could see a lot of people in this panel who helped me, like Carmen helped me, and Hendrik himself, Sherry. They are really like good people to me, and they always like helped me with the pull requests. And after I did also some bit of documentation for the Adoptium project. Yeah, and then it was quite interesting that even after that, Hendrik always followed me up, and he asked me what I do, whether I had a job and something like that. So that's basically how I got connected with him through the Adoptium project, and that sparked like a lot of global contributions, even when we had never met in person. Yeah. So Open Elements itself is an open source company and a member of Eclipse Foundation. And Open Elements is a strong supporter of the Adoptium project. And it is really engaged in mentoring other career developers like us. And I'm really so grateful to Open Elements that it really has like developers so far from the global south, which is like a plus for us Africans, and really promoting open source contributions from Africa. Yeah, so this year, in the beginning of this year, we happened to meet our team from Open Elements in Italy, and we happened also to attend the Oscar Fest in Nigeria, where we represented Eclipse Foundation.
So we would also like to talk about the challenges that are majorly faced by the southern part of the world, and specifically Africa. And I would be speaking specifically for East Africa, and particularly Uganda, since that's where I'm from. But I think the issues are quite the same. And yeah, so one of the issues, if we are to talk about what we are facing this side, concerns about infrastructure, where in Kampala here, internet, power, and yeah, and IT stuff are hard like to base on, since internet and power can just go it out anytime, can experience a power outage at any time. And another thing, here in Uganda, Kampala, it is quite hard to get access to opportunities that are tech related. And it is changing thanks to the open source world, and thanks to different people who are willing to preach about more about open source. And yeah, but way back like 5 years, 6 years, it was quite hard. And yeah, this is what we try to preach about, tell different people in African countries to learn more about open source and know more about open source. Next slide. Yeah, so another thing is about different mentorship gaps, because yeah, we tend to see that in our local areas we have engineers that are not quite experienced, and that can limit us in our learning pathways, since yeah, we can't get that much exposure as it is in the east and in the west. And open source has helped us so much, linking up with people like Kendrick, linking up with people like George and other technical people from different communities who really um, showed us the way how things are done technically. I would say is a very good thing, and I really like all different people from different worlds who have never experienced that to get a chance and know about that. So another issue is community adoption. So while Ugandan developers contribute to OpenMRS as an example, uh, other open source communities are very rare. I came to know about Eclipse Foundation from Noah, but all my life, when I was when I was still learning basic coding stuff, I never heard about any other community apart from OpenMRS, since it is what we knew, what we locally knew. And um, that's why it is quite hard for people in the south here to like
Noah, I think we lost Jesse. Can you maybe continue?
Yeah, I think we lost him along the way. So he was mentioning about the community adoption. I personally, I would say I was also the only community I knew way back was OpenMRS, since some of our mentors who told us about open source. It's the only community they used to talk about. So I had no idea that there are other open source communities. Not until I joined, I started researching myself, since I really found like the open source world very interesting, and the opportunities that were around open source. So it would be good like to promote sensitization about open source in Uganda, I mean in the global south in particular.
Yeah.
So what helped us succeed, especially in the contributions, was the Adoptium's new contributors program. It really gave a structure where like first issues were accessible and mentorship, and the community was really welcoming, that they always followed you up and find out if you're stuck anywhere, and they really matched the code in time and really inspired you to do more work and stuff like that. Then I happened to contribute to the Google Sum of Code. Still, that was in Eclipse Foundation on the Eclipse Cargo Tracker project, and I was mentored by Reza Rahman. And then Hendrik opened a lot of doors for us through the fast track conversations. When I had that conversation with him, I told you before. So he hired me part-time by then. Then I started working part-time with Open Elements. Then after a while, he asked me if I knew of a friend who knew how to write code and maybe didn't have like a job by then. Then Jesse was my friend and he was around. So I was like, yes, I have a friend. Then that's how Jesse joined us like at Open Elements. And we worked for like 8 months. Then after that, he hired us as full-time contributors of Open Elements. So currently we are working full-time for Open Elements. Then also collaboration across borders. We have been able to work across different teams, especially now for Jesse, who is so much involved with the Adoptium website. And we're also doing something with Maven and other projects like Hiro, where we have been able to link up with other contributors and collaborators in the world of open source. So that was a plus for us because it helps us to get exposed to different technologies. It helps us build our skills and helps us build our career and make like a lot of connections through these communities. Then alternative education, open source taught us skills equivalent to a computer science degree, like project management, GitHub workflows, community collaboration. So it's quite hard that you could really find such skills way back in school, because some of these skills you can't find them in school. Just for instance, if you're doing like a computer science degree or maybe a software engineering degree, you even if you learn like the project management, you can't learn how to use like all the project management tools. You can't learn like GitHub and Git, and maybe you master it very well. It is most likely through this open source communities and contributions that we are able to attain such skills. And of course, the communication skill also, and community collaboration as well.
Yeah, so having known a little about us and what we do, so this is the major thing of why we wanted to do this presentation. Wanted to share how the Adoptium's new contributor program changed our lives professionally, and I guess we have shared most of it. But in a wrap up, I have been able to grow personally, professionally, socially, and through contributions, working with different people from different communities. And that is a great thing, as we all know, in terms of career and in terms of terms of life development. We have been able to also transition from being self-taught to being an OSS developer at Open Elements, which is a great thing and a great achievement, I would say. And the other thing that I would really hit much on is about yeah, we got a chance to move around different locations of the world and meeting up with different people, meeting up with Aurelie from Eclipse Foundation, Frederick, other people from Nigeria, those who we met on the open source Africa. We're also able to be on a meetup for open elements in German, and I would say that's really a great thing. And yeah, I would pray that this would happen to most of the people in the global south, such that they can get to experience what you've experienced so far. So this experience so far has helped us to get a broader vision. Because actually I was thinking 2 years back is not how I'm thinking right now after all this exposure to different people. And I would say I have greater visions and I have greater skills, and I have the good people, the right people to help me achieve those visions. And this has also showed us a proof of possibility, and that's a great thing also. It has showed us that some things can happen, and that's something that gives us hope. Coming from the global south, and then you are part of Adoptium, and you can do some contributions and Adoptium projects. I would say it's a great thing. Yeah.
So I would like to talk about why open source matters to maybe everyone watching me, and especially people from the global south, is open source helps you connect like with other developers globally. And this is good that in a way that that you share a lot of things, you share a lot of ideas. You helps you build your skills, your technical skills and non-technical skills. And that's like one of the most important things you can do in your career when you're still, especially like for the young developers, uh, joining open source will help you done like a lot of things. We can't mention all of them. It's really like a lot of stuff you can learn from open source. And I would really encourage young developers from the global south and across the globe to join open source. And to me personally, open source gives me a sense of pride that if I worked on something and I know it is being used like across the globe and it is maybe helping someone across the world, it makes me feel happy that I really made an achievement. That's like self-satisfaction to me. Then it helps build careers and skills. You can build like your career through open source after learning like a lot of skills, how things work, communication skills, connections with other developers across the globe. I would say for that reason, open source matters too much. Then open source drives innovation through collaboration. Uh, I happen to have like a conversation with some developers in Nigeria, and I noticed like most of them have the innovation they have made was through people they met on conferences and maybe shared ideas and brought it to life. So I'd say when you get part of open source, it's a place for ideas. It's a community for ideas where you can share your ideas with people, and maybe you have something moving, maybe you part of the innovations going on and stuff like that. So I would say in open source, it's a great deal for innovations. And there's always a saying that says that two heads are better than one. So if you are really working in collaboration, you always have better streamlined ideas. Yeah, so that was the end of our presentation. So as we conclude, I would like to urge uh, other young developers, especially developers from the Global South, to join the open source communities. It doesn't matter which open source community you've joined. It's not that we are advocating for particular open source communities, maybe Adoptium, maybe Open Elements or other open source communities, but you can just pick a random project you're interested in and you start contributing, build your career, connect with people, and you never know where it ends, but I hope it went well like it did for us.
Yeah. So I also would like to thank Adoptium for the program, uh, to the beginner program, the documentations they have available for new contributors, and also the community members being helpful so much. Yeah, thank you so much. That was our presentation.